Om. 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 Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamatsyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om everybody. So everybody remembered to change the clocks and got an hour less sleep. Anyway, last time we saw from verse 13 onwards, where Bhagavan says that having abandoned all the actions in his mind is abandoning action in the mind means giving up doership and enjoyership, because those are in the mind. The action is external, action goes on. The realized master lives in the city of 9 gates. I explained to you what the city is. It's our body. We also live in the city of 9 gates. That there is no difference, but the difference is we are unable to give up the actions. Externally also we are unable to give up, and internally also it is difficult for us to give up. That is the difference. So manasa sarva karmani manasa sannyasate, manasa in the mind. So physically he is doing all actions, and that should be a sadhana for us, that we continue to do whatever our duty is as per our varna and ashrama, but try to reduce the doership. And that is the principle of karma yoga, where it is surrender. It is there, but it is surrendered, and then you have to move on from there. So it goes from surrender to negation. This is the process. Now the question arises that, okay, if he in his mind he doesn't have doership, but there is some doer somewhere, because physical action is being seen. You see the person is breathing, eating, sleeping, closing his eyes, opening his eyes. So some doer somewhere has to be there. Na? He in his mind he has given up now. So who is that doer is being explained in 14. Bhagavan explained the Swabhavastu pravartate. Swabhava is the one that is doing it. Swabhava, self-identification. So what is happening is that this, I gave you the example of the charcoal, the burning charcoal, which is creating a blister on the hand. We cannot say that the fire has created the blister, because the hand never touched the fire directly. We cannot say that the charcoal has created the blister, because charcoal by nature is cold. It cannot give a blister, but the blister is seen. Blister is the action here. So blister is actually seen, then somebody gave that blister. So what has given that blister is the burning power in the charcoal. Now show me the burning power. No, you cannot show the burning power. So burning power is not seen. It is only experienced when manifested. So when the blister manifested physically, then, oh, there is some burning power somewhere which cannot be seen. So the burning power is coming from the fire and the coal coming together. So there has to be, if the coal is somewhere else and fire is somewhere else, that burning power will not come. It is exactly the same like the horsepower in a car engine, which can never be shown, which can never be seen, but yet that is what is driving the car. We cannot say that the driver is or the gas is. So same way, what is the phenomenon in us, what is happening is fire is the pure consciousness. So pure consciousness coming in contact with the subtle body, or rather subtle body coming in contact, reflects, pure consciousness reflects in the subtle body. And that is what we call as jiva or ego or doer. It has got sentiency because it is a reflection of the pure consciousness. It is like that burning power which can never be seen, but the blister appears. So that ego, that is the doer, because of whom these actions are being seen. The difference between us and the realized master is that the realized master knows this phenomena. So he says, I am that pure consciousness. I am that fire which never burnt the hand, which never created the blister on the hand. I did not create it. So he knows he's the pure consciousness. We don't know that. So we think that I am the one that is doing all this action. So if I am doing some action, then I should enjoy the result also. It's a natural thing that follows, I have done it, so I should enjoy the result. So this is the principle of who exactly is doing. How is that action manifested? That is the principle. Who is doing it? And then he says, because it is the doer that is doing it, the pure consciousness is neither getting papa nor punya. But what I say, oh, I did wrong. I got this power, or I did good. I should get merit for it, or I should get thank you for it, or I should get something for it, right? So that's why he says that na adate kasya chit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhuhu. Vibhuhu, the pure consciousness, vividham bhavati. Did I miss one verse? Yeah, no. So it's just like the sun. That is the easiest example to understand. In the light of the sun, good things happen, bad things happen. The sun doesn't get merit for the good things, and neither does he get the demerit for the bad things. And nobody can say, oh, it is because of you that this robbery happened, because you gave the sunlight, so the bad thing happened. Nobody can say that. That is what it is. But for us, because we are covered by ignorance, we are deluded by ignorance. I told you there are 9 kinds of delusion. There is delusion as regards who the doer is, because I'm thinking I'm the doer. That is a delusion. There is a delusion regarding the object. I think that object is very real. That is a delusion. And then that object will give me happiness. That also is a delusion. So because we are covered by this ignorance, jnanam tena muhyanti jantava. So they get deluded. Jantava, the living beings, get deluded, and here it means humans, because only we have the right of action. And then what happens is, by jnana only that ajnana can be removed, because the opposite of ajnana or avidya is jnana or vidya. Opposite of ignorance is knowledge. It is not action. So therefore, no matter how much action you do, in Atma Bodh, Bhagavan Shankaracharya has given the example of a dark room. So you enter a dark room and you say, oh, I will sweep the darkness away. If you say, and you take a broom and you are a vacuum cleaner or an iRobot and start trying to get the darkness out, nothing is going to happen. So action is not. So what you have to do is only light a candle or a match or switch the light. So once you get the light, that darkness will go away. That way, only through jnana, only through knowledge of who I really am, this ignorance can be removed. And once that ignorance is removed, immediately there'll be this realization. So we had finished until there, and then we were on 17, and I did promise you the little story that I read just last week. It's really nice. And let me tell you, so I told it in my senior class, and people, at least one person I know, thought, what a stupid story. And then I told him how not stupid it is. People just go at the surface level. If you take it at the surface level, it is a stupid story. But if you think, and that's what we'll do the thinking. So the story as it goes is, there was a girl and there was a boy, Bollywood like. So, and they were in love, very much in love. But what happened was that the boy had to go out of town for a year, for whatever reason, his job, sabbatical, whatever. And he promised the girl that I will write you a letter every single day, because he was so much in love with the girl. The girl was very happy. The boy went. The girl started waiting for the letters. And yes, as promised, The first letter came maybe a few days later, because by the time he reached, but then every day the letter was coming. The boy kept his promise. So every single day there was a letter coming, and the girl was now waiting for that letter, right? So the girl is waiting. Oh, today, now second day it came. So of course, third day it will come. So, and the same mailman was bringing it. You know how we have our own mailman, each one of us, like, you know. So the same mailman was bringing the letter. And after a few weeks, the girl and the mailman, of course, they started saying hi, hello, right? Because she's waiting at the door for the same time mail is coming, and he's bringing. So, oh, hi, hello, how are you? How are you? Fine. So this went on. And after a year, when the boy came back, he realized, he came to know that the girl had married the mailman. Okay. And then people say, oh, what a story. Come on. Now let's think. Okay. We also, every single day, we are getting a letter. Either the letter is good news, or it is bad news, or it is neutral. By letter in our case means situations, people, or objects. These three things are coming to us on a daily basis. Now, if we bring God in every case, like the mailman, because that mailman was common, the letter was different. Situations for us are different. But if we bring God into that, what happened with the girl was, because that mailman was the same guy, first letter was primary. She was waiting for the letter. But after a while, she started waiting for the mailman, because letter became secondary and mailman became primary. That way, exactly that way. When we bring in God into every single situation, every single object, every single person that we encounter, and all three will be either what I like or what I don't like, or I may be neutral. I can meet somebody on the road and say hi, hello. Okay, whatever it is, even if we met a stranger and we said, oh, thank God this guy didn't attack me. We can bring God. If we want to bring God in anything, everything, we can. When we keep doing that, God becomes primary, situation becomes secondary. And then at the end of it, we also might be married to God, like she got married to the mailman. So that is what this verse is all about. What is this verse saying? Tad buddhayaha. Tad here is God, pure consciousness, Brahman, Ishvara, or even your Ishta Devata. I'm not even saying you have to go to Brahman or pure consciousness, whatever Ishta Devata you have, like, you can remember him or her. It doesn't matter whether Devi or Ganpati or whoever. Okay. Even Guru, our Sadguru, if it is there, you can remember Sadguru also, whatever your Sadguru is. So this buddhi, when it keeps thinking of tad, then what happens is tad atmana. This atma here means mind. When the intellect puts importance, whatever the intellect puts importance into, I told you last time also, if the intellect thinks money is important, then what is going to happen is, in every transaction in my life, I'm going to say, how much money am I making? How much money am I making? How much money am I making? That way, when the intellect gives importance to the pure consciousness or Ishta Devata, doesn't matter, then the mind comes to abide in it, because the intellect is what is controlling the mind. So if the intellect thinks that this is the most important thing, that every situation comes, I must bring God in somehow. Either I say thank you, or I say, why did you do to this, God? Or if it is, God, now give me the strength to bear this. Why is this thing happening? You can ask God. Ishta Devata, you can ask, why am I feeling like this? Why do I feel depressed? Why do I feel sorrowful? Why? You can ask any question to Ishta Devata. That's the importance of setting up a relationship with God. That is your relationship. You say, why do I feel like this? If I'm feeling bad, I can say, why do I feel bad like this? Okay, anything can be said. So what happens is, when the intellect thinks like that, the mind gets abidance, nishtha. That nishtha parayana, para ayana, the supreme abode, ayana abode, para supreme abode is the abode of pure consciousness, which is yad gatva na nivartante, from where there is no return. So it's a point of no return, and there's nothing above that. That's why parayana is mentioned here, not heaven or anything. Parayana, so supreme. When the intellect keeps thinking that this is what is the supreme, the mind will come to abide in it, because the mind is under the control of the intellect. What happens now? Let's see the phenomena. What happens is, see, mind intellect is finite. Okay, it's very, very finite. If the intellect thinks of finite objects, it will take the shape of that finite object. It's a natural phenomenon. If I say apple, immediately the form of apple will come in my mind. So if the intellect is thinking of a finite object, it will remain finite. It is finite and it is thinking of a finite object, it will remain. But now the intellect is thinking of something infinite. Intellect, which is finite, is thinking of something which is infinite. It will become infinite. It becomes infinite. It merges. Becomes means there's nothing to become. It merges. It's like one single little drop of water, raindrop. When rain falls on the ocean, little drops are falling into the ocean. Once they fall into the ocean, what happens to them? What happens to that small little drop? He becomes infinite. The drop becomes the ocean, and there is no separation then. The drop can never be separated from the ocean once it falls into the ocean. This is the principle here, that intellect, because you have to transcend the intellect. The way to transcend the intellect is to keep thinking. How do you transcend? See, we go on saying we have to transcend the body. Transcending is to give very, very less importance to the body. The body is only to be maintained. The body is to be kept healthy, so that I can do this sadhana, so that my mind is not distracted. Oh, today this is hurting, tomorrow that is hurting. Now my intellect cannot think of the supreme. It can only think of the body, because the body is in pain. So that's why this body identification has to be reduced. The importance given to the body should be for that this is my instrument, and I need this instrument to reach the supreme. That is we don't give that importance to the body, that type of importance. We give, people should think I'm young, people should think I'm, healthy, people should think I'm beautiful, people should think this, that, other. That's our thinking for the body. It shouldn't be like that. It should be that then what we do is we'll eat the right things, we'll do the right things, everything for the body. Now the intellect, which is thinking of the infinite, becomes the infinite because of this principle, that limited drop becomes infinite. And then gachanti apunaravritim. Gachanti, having gone there, is exactly the same like yad gatva na nivartante. So gachanti gone. There is nothing to go. That's not a verb. But when the mind comes to abide, nishtha, has nishtha in this parayana, this supreme abode. And when will it have nishtha? When the intellect gives it complete importance. So tad buddhaya, tad atmana, tad nishtha, tad parayana. Those are the three things. Then the fourth thing that happens is gachanti apunaravritim. He never comes back to this finite world. Can you, in Vivek Chudamani, we saw just last Friday, we saw Bhagavan Shankaracharya gave the example of oil mixing with oil, milk mixing with milk, water mixing with water. Can you separate them? Then can you separate once the mix? This is exactly what it is. That is the more explanation of this gachanti apunaravritti, never coming back. The drop of raindrop, when it falls into the ocean, rivers, huge rivers go merge in the ocean. Can you ever separate them after that? You can't. So that's why once the intellect becomes infinite, there is no separation. There is no coming back to this living in this finite, miserable condition. Misery is because of finitude. Always, always, always. The more you think of infinite, the more you widen your, even in the mind, when you widen your this thing, there'll be less miseries. Now, what happens? Jnana nirdhuta kalmasha. Kalmashaha, impurities. kalmasha, impurities, and they get burnt, nirdhuta, they get burnt, they get destroyed in the knowledge. What are the impurities? In Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he says there are 5 impurities that are associated with karma. This portion, this whole 3 chapters are for karma. So what are the 5 impurities that are associated with karma? They are avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha. So asmita, avidya is ignorance. That is the original cause of karma, is ignorance. Second is asmita, I-ness. I-ness, this is me and this is mine. That is what asmita is. So why do I do karma? Okay, I want to do karma because I want this happiness from this thing. So there's that I-ness. I do karma and I want that happiness. I-ness and my-ness is asmita. Raga, likes. Dvesha, dislike. And abhinivesha is identification. So I'm identified with my body, because of which it is giving me like and dislike, because you see now my body doesn't like hot, it likes cold, or it doesn't like cold, it likes, so the body is, there's like dislike, because of which I have I-ness and mine-ness. I like this person, so this person is mine, this person is my friend, but that one I don't like, so now that person I'm either ignorant person, they will hate. That's why I always say, don't hate, stay on a neutral key, because of course there'll be people whom we don't like. We are seekers, we have not reached that stage, but let's remain on an equal key. That is a different matter. Anyway, so raga dvesha is there, then I-ness minus is there, and all these are caused, the root cause is avidya. Cause is up, so actually beginning is with cause. This is all the manifestation that we see all these actions that we are doing. Okay, constantly we are doing actions to please ourselves, to make ourselves happy. That is why we are doing action. And the root cause is avidya. And what is the ignorance? Is that who I am, there only I have ignorance. I think I am the doer. I think it is wrong thinking, but I am thinking like that. I'm the doer. That is avidya. Now, how? That's why he says in the fire of knowledge. He's not saying in the fire of karma. Karma cannot remove. But because it is avidya, the antidote is vidya. So knowledge. And that knowledge, if I get the first avidya, if I get the vidya that I am not the doer, I am chit. If I were to talk in technical language, I am chit. I am not chidabhasa. I am pure consciousness. I am not the ego. I am the fire. I'm not the burning power in the charcoal. Charcoal is the body there. In that example, charcoal is the body. Body is inert. Body cannot do anything. Unless the reflection is happening in the mind, the body is incapable of doing anything. So if I understand this, that's why Vedanta is only through knowledge. It's not Hatha Yoga. That's why yoga, this, that, physical exercise. I mean, they recommend it for the body by Vedanta, but Vedanta is only understanding all the situations and neutralizing them in your mind. Hurt is there. Hurt is there. But that hurt has to be neutralized, because we never want to neutralize happiness. That's why I only talk of hurt. Happiness comes, we don't want to neutralize it by saying, we want to feel happy, and we should. Don't just have spruha for it. Feel happy for something that happy has happened, but don't, when is it going to happen again? That part should be avoided in happiness. And in sorrow, it should be neutralized by understanding that the sorrow is happening to the ego, is happening to the mind, and I'm not the mind, and I'm not the ego. This, the realized master is doing. So for us, this is the scheme of self-effort, sadhana. What is the sadhana? We don't even have to wait for the letters, because our destiny has already programmed the letters in our this thing. That girl was waiting for the letter to come. We don't have to wait. They'll come unasked. They're walking into our life. People, situations, objects, without us knowing, without us asking. Why? Because already we have preordained. It's preordained. We have done actions. So those type of things are walking into our life. Okay, what is my sadhana now? Past is gone. I cannot change it. I cannot go in the past and say, let me reverse what I did. I can't. Okay, so in the present, my sadhana is, okay, come what may, Ishta Devata. Ishta Devata is easy because pure consciousness is very hard. So, okay, Lord, you sent it to me. You gave me this type of experience. You gave me this. You gave me that. So then that you becomes primary, because constantly these situations are coming constantly. So constantly, if you're thinking of God, God will become primary. And when that happens, then that infinite, finite intellect will have merged in the infinite, because as you think, so shall you become. So if you keep thinking of God, make him primary in your life. That is the sadhana. Very simple sadhana it is. It can be followed. And that is what it is. Therefore, he says, intellect absorbed in that. When will the intellect get absorbed in anything? Unless the intellect thinks that this is important, why will the intellect get absorbed in it? Do I get absorbed in like spiders or something like that? Insignificant things? I don't. I don't. Right? Intellect will only get absorbed when it has love for that thing. And love comes when I put value on it. Then there is love. Then there is liking. So either you neutralize your likes and dislikes. So when you neutralize them, then no object, person, situation is important or not important. And that is what he's saying in the next verse now. Because of this intellect not giving any value to anything and being and abiding in that pure self, what is the vision of such a person? That is what is being given in 18. So it will become our vision also if we can abide in that supreme self. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmano Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shwapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. Sages look with an equal eye on a Brahmin endowed with learning and humility, on a cow, on an elephant, and even on a dog and an outcast. Sages here is a realized master. It is not a seeker. It is not us. He's talking about a realized master. Who is a realized master? Whose intellect has, considered pure consciousness to be very important. And now the mind is abiding in that. Nishtha. He has nishtha. Nishtha comes from the dhatu stha. Stha dhatu is to stay. So nishtha means you stay at one place. And this person is staying only in the pure consciousness. Now, when he's sitting there, merged with the pure consciousness, if a Brahmin comes in front of him, then a cow, elephant, dog, and a dog eater, what does he see? What do we see? We'll say Brahmin, human. Then not only that, we'll go further, friend, enemy, well-dressed, not well-dressed. This is how our mind spirals. Think about it. Think about it. You see that, is that the kind of clothes to wear on this day? Usually when you see teenagers just wearing a t-shirt in the cold, are you not feeling cold? It's so cool. You're wearing only a t-shirt. So our mind spirals in that direction. But the sage, he looks at a Brahmin, he sees the pure consciousness. Then he looks at a cow, pure consciousness. The form is not having any effect on this realize. He does see the form to be different. Okay, he doesn't see, he will see the world as it is with all the different things, but his vision is now established in the pure self alone. So in everything that he sees that substratum. Now, why are these examples picked by Bhagwan? Is because a Brahmin, predominance of sattva. That's why. Okay. Gavi, cow, also predominance of sattva. Cow is considered, I told you, sattva, rajas, tamas are in all of us, because animals also have come from the same Maya. Plants also have come from the same Maya, from where this body has come. So they also have that. Elephant is considered tamas. Elephant is slow, he walks slowly, but he does a lot of work. And whatever is told, he does. Elephant is very good that way. So Hastini is tamas. Shuni, dog, is rajas. And Shwa Pake is put it as an outcast, but Shwa is dog and Pake is to cook. So one who cooks a dog, and there are people who eat dogs, let me tell you, in Vietnam. I went to Vietnam, so I know. It just scared the heck out of me, because when the guy told us that you watch for this sign, if that sign is there, which is in Vietnamese, then that they're cooking dog. And I thought, okay, that's it. I'm not even entering any other restaurant in this country, So the dog eater is, of course, an outcast. But what would we say? We would look down upon such a person. For us, we would look down, but the sage doesn't look down because he knows whether this is sattva, rajas, or tamas, the substratum is beyond all three. That's what this is. That's why these examples have been picked here. So the substratum is beyond. It is because of that substratum that these three gunas are playing. And it's the play of the gunas that a Brahmin has got humility, has got knowledge. Vidya, Vinaya, Sampanne. Sampanne endowed with Vidya and Vinaya. So he has, see, because a Rajasic person has Vidya, but doesn't have Vinaya. Humility doesn't have. Rajas will have the ego. I know so much. Sattva will have knowledge, but he'll have humility. Oh, thank you, Lord. I have this knowledge. So that is the difference between Brahmin and Kshatriya. He says, even though this Brahmin is, well-versed, but in the final analysis, and in Manisha Panchakam, this is what is actually elaborated. I don't know if all of you know the story. Bhagwan Shankaracharya had gone with his disciples to Kashi, taken a bath in the Ganges, and he was going to the Kashi Vishweshwar temple to do his puja. And the Vithi, it is called, the small streets, gully, like we say, gully, like the back lanes. So in Kashi, all the streets are very narrow. So he with his disciples was going in one of the narrow streets, and all of a sudden from the front comes a Shopaka. Shopaka is a dog eater. So that dog eater is coming, and he has got 4 dogs with him. And now, so him and the 4 dogs are blocking all the lane because the lane is very narrow. And Bhagwan falls. Falls means not physically falls, but he says, move away. Gacha, gacha, he says, move away, move away. Because in those days, even if a shadow of that dog eater would have fallen on Bhagwan Shankaracharya, he would have to go back to the Ganges and take a bath. Shadow also, the Brahmins, this is how it was. Like, oh God, don't come near me. You're a scheduled, low caste person, right? And then that Shwabhaka, Chandala, outcast, says, exactly what are you asking to move away? Body, which is same as yours. My body has come from the 5 elements. Your body has come from the 5 elements. So there is no difference in the body. Or are you asking the soul to move away? Is there my soul and your soul that I can move away? And Bhagwan Shankaracharya falls flat on his face and bows down to the Shopaka. Ultimately, it turns out that was Bhagwan Shankar, or Brahma. Some say Brahmaji with his 4 Vedas. The 4 dogs were the 4 Vedas. Or Bhagwan, Lord Shiva himself, came to test his disciple. His foremost disciple was Shankaracharya at that time. So he came to test. And even Bhagwan Shankaracharya fell. But it is also said that, and then he gave out, spontaneously he gave out the Manisha Panchakam. Panchakam 5. There are 5 verses. And the last line is the same in all the verses, which says that one who knows the difference between matter and spirit is my guru. He may be a Chandala, or he may be anybody from the gutter, or he may be anybody, anywhere, anything. It doesn't matter as long as he knows, because that outcast, that was a avatar of Lord Shiva, knew, because he asked. What do you want to, what are you saying? Who are you saying to move? Body, which is same as yours. Soul, which is one with you. What does it move? So that sort of vision this sage has. Therefore, no matter whether he sees a Brahmin or a cow or a dog eater, it doesn't matter to him. The vision is one. That is that oneness. And to see differences, no greatness is required. There's nothing great in seeing, and that's what we immediately see. This is like this is young, this is old, this is this, da, 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 da. No greatness is required. To see commonness, a little greatness is required. What is commonness? Commonness is, I've told you before, if I look at you all as Indians, or all as members of the mission. So family members, that is the commonness. Even that people find it difficult to see. They will say, oh, I'm from Maharashtra, you're from Gujarat, you're from South India, you're from North India, you're from here, you're from there. Then in the South also they'll say, oh, I'm Karnataki, I'm Tamil, I'm Telugu, whatever. So that is not a great thing. That is not a great thing. But to see the commonness, little great, but to see the oneness, it requires a special vision. A special vision is required to see the oneness, not even the commonness. The commonness is we are all Indians, but the oneness is to know that we are all the supreme substratum. That is the oneness. And then if once that oneness is seen, it doesn't get restricted only to this group. You go to a zoo, you will see the oneness. You go to plant forest, you will see the oneness. You see the birds, you will see the oneness. That oneness, once you catch it, you can never lose it. That is what is meant by gachanti na apunaravrati. That is what is meant by that. Once you catch that, which requires a very special vision and which requires a lot of sadhana, self-effort, but once you get it, you got it. That's why Bhagavan says, sa pashati, ya pashati, sa pashati. The one who sees, sees. He can never lose it. This story, not story, it's a real thing. And some of you may not have, some of you I'm sure have heard it, but not all. So anyway, when Swami Tejomayananji first completed the course, he was brahmachari and he was posted, usually brahmacharis are posted to their own cities. So he was posted back to Indore from where he had come, Indore or Bhopal or somewhere, anyway there. And of course, new brahmachari was starting to take classes. The first text apparently which he took was Vivek Chudamani. He started a class and there in his hometown, and he did Vivek Chudamani. Anyway, so there was this one person in this class, and the brahmachari had recently heard the self in me is the self in all, and that is what the brahmachari was telling. So one of the persons said, oh, so brahmachari ji, there is no difference between you and me. Intelligent student, right away he picked up. So brahmachari said, no, of course not, of course not. Oh, so there is no difference between you and my dog. So what can the brahmachari say? Brahmachari said, that is true, that is true. Then there is no difference between you and the plant that I have at home. What can the brahmachari say? He said, no, there is no difference. Then you and stone are also one. What can brahmachari say? Yeah. Oneness is there. There is existence in the stone and there is existence in this body. So we are also same with the mineral world, with the body. With the body. As long as you consider yourself to be the body, there is no difference. That's why stop considering yourself as the body. Then what happens is you consider yourself as the supreme self, you will start seeing that same supreme self in everybody else. That is the idea. Okay. All right. Now, next verse is important. Ihaiva tairjita sargaha yesham same stitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te sthitaha. Even here in this world, birth, everything is overcome by those whose minds rest in equality. Brahman is spotless indeed and equal. Therefore, they are established in Brahman. See, I told you I'm picking up these little quarters of the statement. And one of them, very important one, is Nirdosham hi samam Brahma. Mark this down. That you don't have to remember the whole verse or whole Bhagavad Gita. I will give you a list of those little things because it just became like a hobby with me. Just recently, that too, not like from before, but as I was going, Sukha Dukhe Same Kritva is one. Nirdosham hi samam Brahma. Swajanam hi katham hatva. Yad gatva na nivartante. These little pieces of statements of Bhagavad Gita, if we can keep them in our mind, it will help us in our sadhana. So what happens is when that sort of situation comes, then just bring that quarter into your mind and try to lift your, because in chapter 6, Bhagavan will say, you have to lift yourself by yourself. There is nobody else that can help us. So when I am feeling down, I need to bring that knowledge in and raise myself up. Okay. So this nirdosham is samam brahma is a very important aspect of this verse. So iha eva tairjita, even here means right here in this world, birth is overcome means what? Birth is overcome means realization is obtained. How do you overcome birth? See, we are all under the spell of this cycle of birth and death, birth and death. We go from birth to birth or death to death. So when he says here that birth is overcome, means the person can realize right here in this world. You don't have to die. You don't have to have Videya Mukti. You can have Jivan Mukti. This verse is talking about, that's why it's important. Like right now, you can overcome birth. Birth is not your previous birth, which already happened, but the next birth, which is coming, you can overcome that. How? Yesham samye stitham manaha. By keeping that mind sthit. See, in chapter 2, he coined the word sthita pradnya. Arjun coined the word sthita pradnya. He said, what is the lakshana? What are the characteristics of sthita pradnya? The sthita word is coming again here. Sthita means steady. Stha dhatu, it is stha dhatu, to stay. So sthitam manaha means that mind which is steady. Our mind is never steady. It is like a monkey, isn't it? It's jumping from one place to another constantly. Even when we are listening, even when I'm talking, my mind is thinking of other things sometimes. It's going here and there. So the one whose mind is sthita in samya sthitam, samya equanimity. That's why he used the word sukha dukhe same krutva, samata. That's why I told you. Samata is the antidote of mamata. Problem was mamata for Arjun. Mama was the problem there. Mama. So what was the antidote to that? Sama. That first ma has to be changed to sa. Same sthitam manaha. So that when the mind rests in that equanimity, means what? When sukha and dukkha, because bottom line is happiness, joy, and sorrow. That is the bottom line. Above that, you can say anything. Money makes somebody happy, power makes somebody. That is not the problem. Everything boils down to joy and sorrow. When you make those two equal, and what is making those two equal? Your reaction to both of them has to be the same. Because joy is joy. It's a different type of feeling. Sorrow is sorrow. It's a different type of feeling. Those two feelings you can't make them one. Joy is different, sorrow is different. But your reaction to them, how are you reacting to the joy? How are you reacting to the sorrow? That is what is meant by samya sthitam manaha. And it is the mind. It is the mind that has to rest. That's why we heard, when the intellect thinks that this is important, then the mind will come to rest in that. The intellect has to first understand, has to know that this is what it truly, I like, honestly, I mean, because I'm doing like maybe 3 classes of Bhagavad Gita, I am also at my stage also, I'm recognizing how important this teaching is. So people don't realize the importance of this knowledge. That is, anyway, that's not my point. So yesham same sthitam manaha. And in what and why? Why? Because nirdosham he samam, because Brahman is sama, the mind has to become sama. That's why when I think of Brahman, which is sama, I will become, as I think, so shall I become. Brahma is absolutely equal. That's why the example was already given, that whether bad action is done or good action is done, Brahman remains equanimous, and because of that, nothing is taken. Bhagwan himself said in chapter 4, Name karmani limpanti. No karma is tainting me. No karma. Why? Because I'm equanimous. I am not fighting on your side because I like you. He has made it very clear to Arjun. Don't think that I like you and I don't like Duryodhan. That's why I'm on your side. No, I am on your side because Dharma is on your side. I am on the side of Dharma, whether I like it or I don't like it. If Duryodhana was on the side of Dharma, I would have been there. I'm on the side of Dharma. I'm not on your side or his against his. That is the equanimity that Bhagavan Shri Krishna has mentioned. And that's what he used when he saved Uttara's womb. You know, this Ashwatthama, he sent Brahmastra to kill the fetus in Uttara. Uttara is the daughter-in-law of Arjun. And that time she prayed to Krishna. She came, she said, you know, if this child dies, this whole, that's it. There is no more progeny after this. And that's what he said. He said, if I remained equanimous in this whole thing, this child will live. That's a very, very important word. Same sthitham manaha nirdosh. And nirdosh, we keep blaming God now. God did this to me. God did that to me. So we keep blaming God. This is why Bhagavan is saying that Brahman is nirdosh. In the presence of that sun, everything is happening. In the presence of the pure consciousness, everything is happening. That doesn't mean that pure consciousness is to be blamed. And this is what we need to understand, that I am that pure consciousness. So I am nirdosh and I am, but we cannot use that like I do it purposely and then say, oh, no, I not like that. But a real understanding, yeah, oh, my teacher told me that I am not the doer. So I have killed somebody, but I have not done it. That is not a defense. Okay. That is not a defense. We have to understand it through knowledge, through abidance. We understand it. So this is this is a very important verse. Yeshams, and this can be done now. You are here now, your mind is here now. Why would you think it will happen after death? If mind is not in that samya sthiti right now, in that equanimous state, if the mind is not there, how it will become after death? After death, whatever inequalities were there, they'll be carried. The jiva will carry all those, whatever that the mind was carrying. So make the mind, this is what he says, it reminds rest in equality. There are one of the important things, Bhagavad Gita is, I told you, has been samatha. Because mamata was the problem, samatha is the answer. So remaining on an equal keel at all times becomes extremely important. When adverse things come to us and when things that we like come to us, both things. And that's why remember the story of the mailman. So every time you bring God in, okay. So nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad, therefore brahmani te stitaha. Therefore they are established in Brahman. So those whose minds are equanimous, they are rested in Brahman because Brahman is equanimous. That is actually the meaning. So what happens is, for us, what happens? Our mind is not resting in Brahman. So for us, it becomes sadhana. It becomes self-effort. That let me remain equanimous in all the circumstances that are coming in my life. And I told you, letters are coming every day, every minute. Phone calls are coming, emails are coming, WhatsApp now, immediate transmission of knowledge, of information, not knowledge, information, right? And then it is disturbing me. It is disturbing me, or it's making me very happy. Either way. So we are getting these things. Remember the Lord in everything. Remember that all the bad experiences bad means no experience is good or bad. For me, it becomes good or it becomes bad. So if any bad experience is coming, then understand that the Lord, it is meant for me to evolve, spiritually evolve. When, things, it is meant to gain vairagya. Dispassion has to come when people don't expect as per what we expect them to behave. That's the most common. So when we think that somebody should be doing this and they don't, then know that Bhagwan wants us to get dispassion. That's why that experience has come. So remain equanimous. So what Bhagwan is saying, right here and now, which Bhagwan Shankaracharya has always said, that right here and now, it is possible for those who keep their mind equanimous in all situations, their mind will come to rest in Brahman, because Brahman itself is nirdosh and sama. Is equanimous, and nirdosh is being meant so that we cannot blame God for anything. Even good things, you don't have to blame, you don't have to give credit to God. Let me tell you. Okay, you win a lottery, you say, oh, thank you. Immediately we'll go and we'll chadao prasad. Oh, thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord. But when sorrow comes, we are not saying thank you, Lord. Then that doesn't work. So you say, no, I did those kinds of karma. So now how you handle that wealth depends on what maturity you have. How you handle an outside situation, the outside situation is not going to change for any one of us because it is preordained by our past. But how I handle, that is where I have a choice. How I handle that situation is my choice. And that choice is what Bhagavad Gita is telling us. That is the importance of this text. How do I handle myself? Because only I can handle myself only. You cannot handle anybody else in this world. Let me tell you, whether it's your children, your grandchildren, your friends, your family, your neighbors, outside people, forget it. You cannot control them. Your employer, your boss, your co-workers, nobody can control anybody else. But I can control myself. That is the saving gesture. And how to control myself is what Gita is telling us. That is the importance. So this is what he's saying. Yesham same sthitam manaha. How do I control myself? How do I handle myself? Remain equanimous. And when that, in that equanimity, answers will come. How to deal with that situation. Answers will come. Let me tell you, keep reading. Just this morning, actually, this is what I was upset about something. And then I just started reading and I'm like, okay, Jaya, what are you doing? You're reading this, you're going to explain this, and why the hell are you upset? So it brought me into balance. So this is how this knowledge will bring you into balance. Om swasti prajabhya paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha gobrahmanebhya shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasya shalini desho yam shobharahita brahmana santu nirbhayaha. Om sarvesham swasti bhavatu sarvesham shantir bhavatu sarvesham purnam bhavatu sarvesham mangalam bhavatu sarve bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu niramayaha sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ओम असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय. ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांतिः. हरिः ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ओम.